Let us talk about time. It is everywhere, in our stories, our plans, even our memories. But how do we make sure our words match the time we are talking about? That is where tenses come in. Tenses are the anchors of time in language. They tell us whether something happened, is happening now, or will happen. Let us talk about tenses and how they keep our words in sync with time. But before we start, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel. Are you ready to travel through time? Let's explore the fascinating world of tenses. So today we will do introduction of verbs and tenses. Let us see, before going to tenses, what are verbs. So as we all know, verbs are nothing but action words. But let's have a look at the detailed definition of it. A verb is a word that describes an action, occurrence or state of being. So now we have to forget what we have learnt in our childhood, that verbs are just action words. No, they also define an occurrence, they also define the state of being of anything. Verbs are essential in sentences. They tell us what the subject is doing or experiencing. There are two types of verbs mainly. For this video, for this module, we need to understand these two types of verbs in order to understand tense. So what are the two types? You all know again, regular verbs and irregular verbs. Let's have a look at them in detail. So regular verbs are verbs which form their past tense and past participle by just adding d or ed. So are you getting it, students? That only two things, the addition of two things, either d or ed, will make any verb have its past participle or the past tense. So we can see the examples like, if I take the verb talk or if I take the verb dance, then the past tense of talk will be talked and the past participle will be talked again. So as you know, there are three forms of verbs: V1, V2, V3. What V1, V2, V3 stands for? V1 stands for the first form of verb. Alright, the second form of verb and the third form of verb. But again the question arises, what is first form, second form, third form? So students, the first form is nothing but the main verb. This is the base form or the main form. The second one is nothing but the past tense. So I have written here what will come? Past tense. This is past tense and this is main verb. The first form is the main or base form. And the third form is nothing but the participle. It could be either past participle or the present participle according to the tense that we are going to make. So this is what we have to learn, that there are two types of verbs, regular, irregular. So for regular, we use just d and ed to form its tenses, right? This is regular verb. And the second one is irregular. So by default, we have understood that the second verb, irregular verb, would be something in which addition of d and ed is not required. Instead, you need to memorize these verbs. So these verbs do not follow a standard pattern. This is why they are called irregular. This is the reason that they are called irregular in forming the past tense or past participle. The past forms must be memorized as they say. So let's see the example of go. So the example of go is go, went, gone. The base form V1 is go, then V2 is went and V3 is gone. Alright, this is what the two types of verbs mean. Now let's see here a table of regular verbs. Before we go into deep and discuss all these verbs, I'll like you to pause the video and go through this. I hope you would have given a reading to all these verbs, and in all these verbs you would have found a similarity that the addition of just D and ED is making its V2 and V3. Let's have a look at the first verb, talk. So talk, talked, talked. Play, play, played, played. For walk also walk, worked, worked. And for cook also cook, cooked, cooked. So for all these verbs, there was only addition of D and ED. Let's have examples of some irregular verbs. Although there are many regular verbs, uncountable regular verbs, and also there are various irregular verbs. We cannot do all of them in this module, but at least we'll do the necessary ones which we use in our day-to-day life. So the first one is go, go, went, gone. For the second one, eat, eat, ate, eaten. Alright. For write, it's write, wrote, written. And the fourth one is speak, speak, spoke, spoken. So these forms have to be memorized. You cannot write speak, speaked, speaked. Would, speaked. Will be right? Please let me know in the comment section. So for the same, if we have write, can we write write, righted, righted? No, we cannot write. Let's see the next one. So more verbs, take, took, taken, come. Now this is an exception which I would like you to remember. This is an exception in which the second form is different and the first and third are same. So it is not going to be come, came, came. No, it is going to be come, came, come. And same for become also. Become, became, become. Alright. So you should be able to remember such verb forms. And there are also various verbs in which there goes no change. Can you name some? I will name if you can't. So there are verb forms which do not change. Hit is one of them. So the three forms of hit remain same. Hit, hit, hit. For the second one, burst. Burst remains same. Burst, burst, burst. The third one, cut. Cut, cut, cut. It's never cutted. Cutted is not a correct verb. Is not the correct form. So these are some of the verbs, although you can find various verbs which again goes unchanged. They go unchanged and there all the forms remain same only. Now let's see the next one, which is the present tense. So we will now understand the tenses. This is why we did verbs, because in order to understand tense, we will have to have a good understanding of verbs. So we have understood the two types of verbs, regular, irregular. Now we will use those regular and irregular verbs in forming verb forms or in memorizing verb forms while doing tenses. So the first tense that we are going to do is present tense, and the first one is simple present. So simple present tense is something which we use in our day-to-day life. Let's have a reading to that. I will like you to read it first and then we shall discuss. Please pause the video and give a reading to it. I hope you would have read all the uses of simple present tense. Let's have a look here. So for universal truths, for facts, or for customs, routines. So whenever you want to tell universal truth, a fact, or your routine, then you use simple present tense. Or to express a permanent state in imperative sentence, in running commentaries, or to introduce quotations. So all these are not necessary requirements except this and this. This is something which is not a necessary requirement. in many of the imperative sentences, we use past tense too. It's just that it is a probability that sometimes we use simple present tense if it requires for us to write the imperative sentence in simple present. So, we can see those with the example as well. So, let us see universal truth with an example or a fact with an example here. The human body contains 206 bones. This is a factual data. This is a fact. This is a universal truth. So, it is written in simple present tense. Only V1 is being used. Only main verb is being used. Alright. Main verb. This is main verb. So, this is what simple present tense uses. Also, while telling your routine to anyone, what do you use? You say, I wake up at 6 every day. I study, I read a book every day. So, this is what you say while telling your routine. So, for that also we use simple present tense. So, this is what the usage of simple present is. Let's see and understand the usage of simple present in different persons and with singular and plural as well. So, let's have a look here. So, for affirmative sentences, for affirmative positive sentences, whenever we have a singular noun or pronoun, meaning that we have I, we say I sing. So, we use just verb. Why are we discussing this? So, the reason for discussing this is that many a times we use with verb this S plus ES. And what are those cases? This is what we need to discuss. So, in affirmative sentences for first person we use I sing, we sing, you sing, either for singular or for plural. But when it comes to the third person, he, she, it or any name, then we say sings. So, this is what the exception is, students. This is the exception. With they, again we use sing only, but for he, she, it or any name, we will use sings. So, for third person in simple present tense, we use verb plus S. Verb plus S. Let's have a look at the next one. For negative sentences, we write I don't sing or you don't sing, but for he and she, we do not say he, she don't sing. That is grammatically incorrect. So, while you are using he, she and it, use does not. Alright. Let's have a look at the interrogative sentences also. That whenever you are writing an interrogative sentence, so you have to use again V1 for simple present, and many a times you might be required to use V plus S also. So, what are those cases? Do I sing? Don't I sing? Obviously, for you also, do you sing? Don't you sing? But for he, she and it, we do not use do. We use the helping verb does. So, does he, she, it sing or any name also? Or doesn't he, she, it sing? So, after sing, you have to remember that you will not use sings. Many a times, I have seen this in a lot of adults too, that they use does she works in the office. No, it is not correct. It is does she work in the office. Does he go to the park every day? Does your grandfather go for a visit to your parents' house often? So, it's like that. We never use verb plus S with does. We never do. Does already has an S here. So, maybe you can remember with this thing. And why are we learning all of this for IGCSE? Because we should know, we have to learn the correct usage of tense, because the examiners do keep in mind that whether you have written a good vocabulary or not, your tenses, your grammatical structures should be correct. This is why we are learning tenses too. So, let's have a look at the next one, which is the simple past tense. So, we are done with the simple present tense. Now, we will cover simple past tense. So, students, we are not going to cover all the tenses. We will exclude the future tense. We will cover what is required for us to cover in IGCSE, which is simple present, simple past, the perfective tense and the progressive tense. So, this is what we are going to cover. So, for simple past tense, I would like you to give a reading first, get a general idea, and then let's discuss. So, before discussing simple past tense, usage and the rule, let's know when do we use simple past tense. So, we use simple past tense either to tell a historical event or to tell just the recent past events whenever we are required to tell. So, like I ate a bowl of spaghetti last night. That is not true though, but yeah, so we use simple past tense to tell just the past events. Let's see the usage for completed action. So, whenever any action has been completed in the recent past that happened at a specific time in the past, we use simple past tense. Also, you have to remember something with simple past tense, that you will see a lot of use of time adverb of time will be used with simple past. Like examples are, I will write it here so that you will be able to remember it too. So, we use ago or yesterday or a day before yesterday. So, day before yesterday, day before also. So, we do use such types of adverb of time while writing simple past tense. So, this is what you should also keep in mind, that whenever you see or whenever you have any scenario which is related to recent past, then you are supposed to use simple past tense. Also, one more thing for simple past tense, for simple present, we have used V1. For simple past tense, we use V2. Nothing else. Also, the fun part is that we do not need to remember any of the SES rules here. For simple present, we know that whenever you have a singular third person pronoun person, then you got to use SES with the verb. But here, you have to use V2 no matter what. Just that for regular verbs, you will use ED and D, and for irregular verbs, you need to memorize. Let's see some examples. People lived in caves a long time ago. This is what? A time adverb. So, we have used the second form here, past. People lived in caves. Now, people lives in caves. They do not live in caves, right? They lived in caves. And also a time is mentioned, a specific time is mentioned. My brother watched a movie yesterday. Again, a specific time is mentioned. When? When did the brother watch the movie? Yesterday. So, watched is again V2. Let's have a look at the next one. So, let's see this one. But before discussing this, I would like you to stop the video and give a reading to it. I hope you would have read it. And as just for simple present also, we have done a table. We are now going to do a same table for simple past as well. Let's have a look for some of the rules and examples. So, for affirmative sentences, whenever you are writing an affirmative sentences, you know that you have to use subject plus V2, which we saw in the last slide as well, that subject plus past form of the verb V2 we use, right? And here also we are discussing the same thing, subject plus V2. If you have an object, good. If not, then let it be. The sentence can still work without an object. So, my mother bought a dress for me. So, here we have a direct object here. My mother bought. This is V2. Buy, bought. Please let me know, buy is a regular verb or an irregular verb in the comment section below. Let's see. My mother bought a dress for me. My mother subject, bought is verb and a dress is the object. Alright, let's see the next one. This is something which you have to keep in mind, and this is something which is really important, because again, not only students but also I have seen a lot of adults making this mistake while in their spoken English or in their written English, that they use with didn't, with did, they use V2. So, this is what you have to remember, that while you are using did is already a past tense of do. What are the three forms of do? Do, did, done. So this is V1, this is V2, this is V3. So for did, we always use the next verb as V1, not V2. So while you are writing a sentence, subject plus did not, we will use V1, not V2. For simple past tense sentence, we use V2 where there is no did. Whenever there is did, we are going to use V1. Did, V1. Alright. So learn this rule. Did plus V1. But that is to be applicable only for the next verb, the consecutive verb right after did. So if you are saying the sentence, my mother did not bought a dress for me, that is wrong grammatically. You have to keep it in mind that you have to write, my mother did not buy a dress for me. I did not knew it. That is a big mistake you do when you say that in your spoken English. I did not know it. I was not informed. That is correct. But when you are saying the same sentence using did, I did not inform him. I did not informed him is incorrect. So whenever you are using did, use V1. Do keep that in mind. Let's look the example of interrogative rule we have already learnt. Did my mother buy a dress for me? Again, this is the correct thing. You have to use did plus V1. Did plus V1. Did not plus V1. So did, buy, not bought. Let's have a look at the next one, which is the progressive or continuous tense. So again, I will leave you with this slide. Give a reading and then let's discuss. I hope you would have given a reading to this. Let's discuss now what is progressive or continuous tense. As you can see, the word is itself self-explanatory that whenever any action is being continued for a long time or is continuing either in the present or in the past, that is continuous or progressive. So progressive tense is something which we also call continuous tense. Let's see the usage for actions that are or were in progress at a particular time. So there are two progressive tenses, present progressive and past progressive. Let's have a look. So for form, we are going to use the subject is MR and the verb plus ing because continuous means ing. Please keep these things in mind. Do not learn everything. You don't need to learn everything. You just need to know a few things and need to keep in mind the few things, which is that whenever you are using simple present, so for certain person, a person, you use SES. So you need to keep in mind for which person you use that. When you are using simple past tense, again you need to keep in your mind that what are you supposed to use when you are using did. When you are using present progressive, then you should remember only one thing, which is MR plus V plus ing, and which verb is we are going to use? V1. Alright, let's see the example. I am reading a book right now. So I am reading. Alright, let's see the example of past progressive. So for past progressive, we have subject plus was, were plus verb plus ing. Obviously, so here since we have past, we are going to use the helping verb was, were. Here since we had present, we used the helping verb for present, which is MR. So let's see the example. They were playing football when I arrived. So they were playing is the past progressive. This is past, alright, and this is progressive. So was and were shows the past tense and ing shows progressive tense. The same thing here, am shows present and ing shows progressive, present, progressive. This is what we have to keep in mind. Also, if instead of they, we would have written he. So what would be the sentence? He was playing football when I arrived. Let's see the next one, which is the perfect tense. I will again leave you with this slide. Please give a reading and then we shall continue. I hope you would have given a reading to what is perfect tense. So perfect tense is something which describes an action completed before a certain time, or actions relevant to the present or future. So whenever an action has happened, has occurred before a certain time, that is perfect tense. Let's see that the rules. So we are supposed to, first of all, there are two types of perfect tenses. There is present perfect, there is past perfect. Although there are future perfective tenses also, but we are not doing future tense in general. This is why we are not covering either the future progressive or the future perfective tense, perfect tense. So we are just covering the present perfect and the past perfect, because that is what IGCSE English requires mostly. So the subject, with the subject in present perfect, as you all know, present means has, have, and perfect means past participle. So I told you to learn certain things. So when you are doing perfect tense, just keep in mind V3, that you have to use participle. Participle is nothing but V3. So when you are doing perfect tense, participle will come, right? And present has, have will come. The same thing for past perfect, had will come, and for perfect tense, participle will come. Alright, let's see that with an example. So, present perfect, she has finished her homework. Has gives us the hint of present, and finished is participle. So, this is present perfect sentence. She has finished her homework. So she has not finished her homework in the past, like in a very past time, in a long time. She has just finished her work, meaning that maybe sometime before only that action has completed, has taken place. Let's see the next example. By the time we arrived, they had left. So by the time we arrived, they had already left. Again, so when they came, they had left. When we came, they had left. So this is what, how we use the perfective tense. Let's have a look at the next one, which is some important key points which you should be remembering. So for simple present and past, foundation for stating facts, habits and past actions. Progressive is being used, or the continuous tense is used for emphasizing on ongoing actions in the present or past. And the perfect tense, the perfect forms are used to show actions completed before now, present perfect, and before another past action, that is past perfect. So this is what the conclusion of whole of the module is. Let's now head on to the next one, which is the complete tabular form of what we have learned in this module. So I will like you to pause the video and read the complete table, and if required, make it so that you will be able to remember all the tenses in a summarized and a shortened form. Please pause the video and give a reading and write it. I hope you would have gone through the table. Let us now discuss all these tenses on the table, which is going to be a summary for this entire video and module. So let's discuss it now. For simple present, we will use subject plus V1, which is the base verb. There is an exception though, that for third person singular you will use verb plus SES. So let's see the example. I talk, but she talks. He talks. So for he, she, name and it, you will use verb plus S, alright, or ES. The same for irregular verb, you will use I go, but with she, goes. He, name, it, you will use goes. For simple past, we use subject plus past form, which is V2. So I talked and we went, because went is the second form of go. So you will not say go, you will say went for past. Present progressive uses is MR with the subject and ing. As we know, is MR is the it gives the hint of present, while ing gives the hint for progressive tense. So if you have to make an example, I am talking, he is going, she is going, or we are talking. For past progressive, we will write was verb plus ing, subject remains the same. in the first position for an affirmative sentence, and for interrogative sentences, you know that we start the sentence with a verb if the answer is going to be in yes or no. Anyways, so for past progressive, examples are I was talking, they were going. Let's see the next one. For present perfect, as you know, has and have. For present and perfect participle. So let's see the example. I have talked, he has gone. For past perfect, we use had plus past participle. So the example is I had talked, he had gone. Let us now have a look at some of these examples, some of these incorrected paragraphs which we are going to make correct. So I would want you to first go through the question and see it without looking at the solution. Try to solve it. I hope you would have read the question. Let's see. The drone were flying above the field when suddenly it crashes into a tree. So when you saw this, when you read this example, you would have noticed that the drone, after drone we are using past progressive, and here we are using simple present. So two different tenses, and the sentences are correlated with each other. They are related with each other, meaning that you cannot use two different tenses with the sentences and the context is related to each other. So that is the first thing. Secondly, the drone is a singular, and with singular we use was. So the drone was flying above the field when suddenly it crashed. So it will become crashed into a tree. Let's have a look on the next example. I was knowing the solution to the problem before he explained it. So when you read the example here, the incorrect one, I was knowing. When you would read, you would realize, or if you have heard people saying that in their verbal English, that I was knowing the solution, I was knowing it. Does this feel right? Does this feel grammatically correct? No, it is not grammatically correct. What are we supposed to say? Instead, we should say, I knew the solution. I knew the solution to the problem before he explained it. So it will not be I was knowing. All right. Let's see the next one, for which I will be leaving you to read this and without looking at the solution, and then we'll discuss. Okay. All right. So let's see. Scientists around the world works hard to send rovers to Mars, and some of them will succeeded in capturing valuable data. So two tenses. First is simple present, and here we have used future, will. Alright, so we need to make it one. The Hubble Space Telescope provides stunning images of distant galaxies, and it has sent again a new tense, these pictures since many years. Let's have a look to the solution. Scientists around the world have worked. So instead of works, it will be have worked hard. So to send rovers to Mars, and some of them have succeeded, not will succeeded, have succeeded in capturing valuable data. The Hubble Space Telescope provides stunning images of distant galaxies, and it has been sending, it has sent. No, it will not be has sent, it has been sending these pictures for many years. And why has been sending has come? Because that process has been going on. It is continuous, it is progressive. It has been going on from a long time, for many years. This is how you should know the correct usage of tenses, though you will not be required to solve any incorrect paragraphs in the IGCSE English paper, but you will be required to write your compositions. You will be required to write directed writings, for which you need to know the correct usage of tenses and the verb forms, which is why we are learning it. Let's have a look at the last slide of this module, where we are going to solve this very basic question on tenses. So the question goes like, we have to just fill in, all the commands are being given here, instructions are being given here. Let's start. She dashed a letter when the phone rang. So what is expected of us? To write past progressive. Past is, you know, progressive is ing. So with past we will use was or were. So she was writing. All right. She was writing. She was writing. Let's see the next one. Dash here for 5 years. Present perfect. For perfect we need to use V3, past participle, and present we will use has or have. So, and here you is being mentioned. So, have you lived here for 5 years? All right. Let's see the next one. Simple present. So, here we are obviously we know that we are going to use the first form. But the sentence is in a question form. So, we need to start the question with the helping verb, which is either do or does. So, which helping verb should we use? Does. Does she cook dinner every night? Let's see the next one. Past progressive. Progressive means ing, was, were means past. Past means was, were. So, they were playing. They were playing football when it started to rain. Let's see the next one. Simple past, V2. So, V2 is to be used, but now see, look at the sentence that it is a question. So, for question we need to use a helping verb, and which helping verb do we use in past sentences? Did. For simple past we use did, and with did what rule did we learn? Did plus always V1. So, did he finish? All right. It's going to be, did he finish his homework last night? The students dash hard for their exams this week. So, it is going to be past, present, progressive. So, for progressive ing, and present is is or has or have. So, it is sorry, it's going to be is are because it's progressive. So, it is going to be the students are studying. The next one is dash she the book you gave her yesterday. Again present progressive. So, we are needed to use is mr and then ing. So, is she reading the book you gave her yesterday? So, this is how we got to solve we solved the tense exercise, and we have got a rough idea. Although there is an important tip for you, that whenever you are practicing any of the grammar tenses, grammar concepts, then you need to write. Only when you write you realize where you are going wrong, because when you read and when you write you compare those two things, that how you can put your writing in a better way when you are reading a lot, or vice versa. When you are writing a lot you should read also, when you are reading a lot you should write also, and this is how we can make our reading and writing better, which will help us in both the papers. That was all from my side for this module. Although the tenses, the verbs, and this whole module, whole topic we are going to do in various videos in various parts and levels, but that was it from my side for today. Students, be curious and continue to grow, continue to learn. Thank you. Love what you watched? Give it a thumbs up, share it with friends, and subscribe for more.